The famous words of Matthew McConaughey. Alright. Welcome back to Two Player Co-op. I'm Damo, this is Dan, and this is episode 2!
You're excited, it's through the roof.
Oh, it's through the roof! It's like, if it was out of 10, this would be a 14, absolutely. Dan, what are we covering off today?
Of course, we're going to do some Star Wars, we're going to do some Game of Thrones. We've been to see Age of Ultron.
Age of Ultron.
Definitely going to cover that.
That was awesome, wasn't it? Did you enjoy it?
It was awesome.
It was wicked.
It was definitely good.
It was very cool. So we've got a Game of Thrones, a little bit of gaming, we're going to talk a little bit about the genre of first-person shooter. Where are we going? What would you be looking for in your next game? Force Awakens, the material that was released, Game of Thrones, it's all here. Welcome back to Two Player Co-op. Thanks for joining us.
Alright, so which should we kick off? Age of Ultron?
Age of Ultron, yeah, like it's the topical one.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so we went to see it the other day in 3D. Now before we get started, we got to see the trailer as well for Force Awakens while we were going to see Age of Ultron. It's like a...
That was awesome. It was like a 2-for-1.
A 2-for-1. It was gold.
I really enjoyed it.
I got that shiver up my spine.
I do want to say, I want to go on record. Last episode, I said something about, do I want to go see Star Wars if it's in 3D? Of course I do! What was I thinking? I was looking at our episode 1, not Star Wars episode 1. I was looking at reviewing this afterwards. I was like, what are you crazy? You're giving people the impression you're not going to go watch Star Wars if it's in 3D. Of course I am. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry. Back to Age of Ultron.
Or Age of Ultron. So yeah, I guess I really it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good follow up to the first Avengers movie. I think they're definitely setting the scene for what's to come with the Civil War.
Yeah, right. You can see that. You
the
can
different
absolutely see it
spin-off
coming.
movies. Yeah. I thought it actually had heaps of laughs in it as well.
There were some classic one-liners. I think probably my favourite one for me was when Hawkeye was rescuing someone, as Avengers do, and he's like, none of this makes sense, the city is flying, we're fighting an army of robots, and I'm carrying a bow and arrow, none of this makes sense, get up and let's just GTFO.
Exactly. I thought actually Hawkeye and Black Widow had so much airtime this time.
They had heaps more airtime, and I'll be honest with you, I thought one of them was going to die.
Yeah, I thought
it was leading up this whole thing like it was, these were the Avengers on, knocked to the ground and on the deck, and I thought Hawkeye was the guy who was going to die. Clint Barton, he was my guy that was going to die. I was picking him, I was like, let me come take you back to this idyllic farmyard,
my wife, my children.
Yeah, this is our safe house, and
this
it's all good.
This is my last one.
I tell you what, I was expecting the armies of robots to come flying in after the Avengers left and absolutely tear up Clint Barton's house or Hawkeye's house, and that was going to send him off the rails, and he's going to go and rashly challenge Ultron by himself and die. But it didn't happen.
Yeah. Also, we got to see the Scarlet Witch. I thought the Scarlet Witch was a pretty
She was
character.
badass.
Pretty badass.
She was pretty badass. And I really, and this goes back to that whole Hawkeye played a much bigger role this time around. I love that dialogue between him and the Scarlet Witch when she's taken a tumble. I think her brother had just died.
She's scared.
No,
she's afraid.
She's scared and afraid. No, her brother had died at this stage.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And she's scared and afraid. She's like, I don't know if I can do this. And he's like, look, stay here. I'll get your brother. It's all good. Or stand up, dust yourself off, walk out the door, and be an Avenger. Exactly. If you walk out that door, you're an Avenger, and you don't stop. Yeah. And I love that whole that dialogue there. For me was awesome.
Yeah, definitely. One of my favourite characters of the Avengers is actually the Hulk. And I thought, I loved the whole Hulk scene about he's too angry to be contained. I thought it was awesome, and I just love that Black Widow's got to come in and calm him down. And so good. So
a lullaby, right?
A lullaby. Yeah.
And I tell you what, the Tony Stark had obviously thought, what am I going to do if the Hulk gets out of control? I need to contain him, and so he had that
the Hulkbuster armor.
The Hulkbuster armor, the big satellite thing that came down and temporarily restrained him. A couple of good one-liners in there as well.
I said, do you know what's funny about this is, so with the Hulk, so he's got this armour which he puts on to come and let's calm the Hulk down. And so, but what he's doing is he's punching the Hulk. He's making it better.
What is that? He's got that automatic fist. Go to sleep, 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 go to sleep.
I know, right?
Go to sleep.
Is that calming you down? You're the Hulk.
Yeah, it's not it's trying to fight fire by splashing kerosene.
Exactly. I'll tell you a character which I didn't really like that much was actually, I guess, Ultron himself.
Okay, well, we're going to disagree on this, but continue.
He didn't didn't gel for me. Like I was just kind of like, he was sort of the superpower being, but he kind of just got a couple of misfits like with him, and I thought he was kind of easily defeated. I don't know, he didn't do anything for me as a bad guy.
So the reason I liked Ultron was because the entire movie I was thinking, my God, I know that voice, I know that sardonic wit, I know that delivery, and I couldn't for the life of me remember who or figure out who it was. And when I was sitting there watching the credits, I was like, James Spader! James Spader from The Blacklist. I've been watching Blacklist season 1, and I kind of dropped off on season 2. That's a whole other segment. But I've been watching James Spader, and I loved his delivery and his wit and how cool and like just sophisticated and dry he is. Yeah. And the whole time I was like, I'm loving Ultron. I really, really loved his entrance. Like when he first sort of constructed himself, and he had smashed apart Jarvis and all that. Right. And he's kind of like a munted, kind of like, sort of puppet that has just lost its strings. And he was singing that song, like There's No Strings on Me. So I really liked Ultron. I think the thing was, he kind of was defeated a little bit too easy. I
think that was it. Like, I thought for someone so powerful, like I thought he would just be a bit more A-game, but I felt like he was just a bit of a, like don't get me wrong, some great one-liners and James Spader, he's the man. But I just thought as the age of Ultron, I thought this will be like the big bad guy, but he just wasn't that big, and he kind of easily defeated, I guess.
I tell you what, the character I didn't like in Age of Ultron was the character they called the Vision. So that's the human robot hybrid. Yeah. He looked really camp kind of looking, stylistically he was just a bit, I don't know, just looked a bit camp, like if we're doing a 1950s Batman version of the Avengers, like old school Robin and old school Batman.
Crossover,
kind of, crossover, right? It kind of looked a little bit like that, and that distracted it for me. And I know they were trying to take it, the voice was supposed to be like a mix of Jarvis and something else. So the voice was kind of like,
I think so. A couple of things I did really enjoy about the movie was when they were trying to pick up Thor's hammer, and like they were literally like having a party,
that
and they're
was
like,
awesome.
let's all have a go at picking it up, and then Tony Stark and War Machine, holding it as he can put on the glove, and they're trying to pick it up. That was awesome.
And I think Captain America was saying, so what if you put the hammer in an elevator? The elevator goes up. The elevator rules Asgard. And he goes, nope, elevator's not worthy. It was awesome. Like that. So this is the thing about the Avengers in general. Hilarious. Like I love the dialogue and the one-liners that go through. And this is the thing that I don't like about sci-fi movies or movies that are superhero action-packed, high reliance on special effects. Sometimes the dialogue and the writing suffers. And this is the thing. The thing I love about the Avengers, that's not the case. It's really funny, really witty, and heaps of action and great special effects as well.
Do you know something funny which I thought they put in the Avengers to try and sort of like make it a bit relatable to the everyday Joe Bloggs on the street is when Captain America is having that conversation with the Falcon guy, and he's like, I don't even know if I can afford a house in Brooklyn. What about like, sure, your buddy Tony Stark, hook you up. I'm sure, like on some sort of shield fund that you're getting.
I'm sure the American government's got you on the payroll somewhere.
Somehow. You are Captain America. Like you've been stuck in this country since World War II.
Yeah. I mean, like,
you got the back pay.
Is there not like? Did you not buy like a house in Brooklyn in the 40s for like $20?
Yeah. Exactly. Before you went to war, like, did you make?
Yeah, and now it might be worth $800,000, but back in the day, I bought a house for $20.
You can clearly see we know a lot about the Brooklyn property market.
Yeah, $800,000. I don't know. Does that get
that's
you?
Probably like a box. Probably.
Yeah, what does that get you? A car park?
Not much. So anyway, I can definitely see again, like they're setting it up for the big Civil War which is coming.
Yeah.
And so you can see like
mixed feelings about that.
Captain America, Iron Man. You can see like the heads are starting to
and it always have.
Groups are forming.
But I think I like what you were saying before. So you've always had Captain America and Tony Stark butting heads because of the ego and all that. and the natural leadership role and all that kind of stuff. But you can start seeing people lining up either side, very subtly, very subtly. But you can see it's coming, and so I'm pretty pumped. I'm pretty amped. I was kind of like, oh no, Civil War, really?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's gonna be cool.
It'll be good. Like we've got for the next 4 or 5 years a truckload of superhero movies coming.
Yeah.
There are so many. I was looking at the calendar online the other day, and there was something like, I don't know, about 20 movies when you count all of the Marvel, the DC ones. Like, there's so many new sort of franchises starting out, follow up. Like, it's huge. It's
and rebooting, right?
Definitely.
Rebooting old franchises. Hey, look. So, but the one last thing before we move on Age of Ultron. So rumors around Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. both going, I'm done.
And Captain America himself, he's like, so. Oh.
Was that Chris Evans?
Oh, Chris Evans. Yeah, right. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. I was thinking of Thor, whatever his name is.
Right.
Chris.
Helmsworth?
Yes, that's right. That's why I'm getting confused, but I've got it. Yep. So anyway, the rumours of...
rumors that Downey Jr. is finished or near to be finished. He's kind of like, I'm over it. Same with Captain America, Chris Evans. So they're so it'll be interesting to see the Civil War coming up. I think they both contracted for one more, or they?
I think to the end of the Avengers. So there's one more definite Avengers movie, and then I think so the next Captain America movie sets up the Civil War. But I guess like they signalled that they were sort of like they were a bit done like a year or so ago. So I guess if Marvel can roll up a big enough money truck, maybe they'll do it. But I know, for example, Chris Evans actually wants to get more behind the camera. And actually, to be honest, I actually thought, like the Hawkeyes, the Iron Man, like when they were out of costume, I actually thought, you guys are looking a bit old, do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like you're for superheroes, like
starting to show your age,
which
might be time to bring in the next generation.
Yeah, exactly. But I think, in saying that, that would be a big call though to bring in a new actor for any one of those roles this late in the sort of piece. Like all the sort of pieces are all set up for this big sort of epic story arc. And to insert a new actor. This
late in that story arc.
I don't know.
If they continue through and finish the story arc off with however it ends, and then reboot another franchise. Because you look at Spider-Man, look at Batman. They've rebooted those franchises through. Like Spider-Man's gone through
so many
3 different Spider-Mans.
Yeah, that's right.
In the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah, right.
But I think the thing is that you need to finish the story arc. It would be weird for me. I agree with you. It would be weird for me to see a different Iron Man or a different Captain America in that uniform, unless they do sort of they do like Captain America's mate Bucky is around.
Yeah.
Unless they kill Captain America off and he steps up to be the captain.
Yeah.
Who's kind of like as a not necessarily the character, but kind of like as this is my role in the Avengers now. I'm the captain.
And I know in the comics like all of that has taken place, but I just sort of think from a movie going type thing, it's so different. Like you put all this trust into these characters, and to change it up, it's a big move. But I guess time will tell.
Time will tell.
And what's the worst that can happen? They'll just reboot again and reset. I
tell you one thing, one movie that I am looking forward to, and it's be good to see the Force Awakens trailer again, just for pure repeat value.
What's the Force Awakens?
What's the Force Awakens? We'll come to that shortly. But Mad Max Fury Road, we just sat down and watched the 5 minutes. The IGN, shout out to IGN, it was really cool. 5-minute recap of everything you need to know
about Mad Max up until that point. So the last 3 movies.
Some highlights for you from that 5-minute recap.
I guess there's so many things that stick out. Like when you see movies from back in the early 80s, like there's always some mind blowing things. And I think there's this scene in the first Mad Max movie where Mad Max is with his wife, and his baby is playing with his gun.
Just like casually playing with a 6-shooter.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. It's like actually going back and watching, slight divergence, but going back and watching Die Hard 2 and watching Bruce Willis walk through the airport with a gun, or be on a plane with a gun, like you just can't even process it these days.
Or smoking in a public area.
Exactly.
Oh my god, how irresponsible.
Yeah. I think, so those Mad Max movies, they've always been on the sort of a little bit like risque, a little bit edgy, and looking back at some of that old footage, like there is some crazy stuff going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Some crazy hairstyles, some crazy shoulder pads going on.
Some crazy costumes.
Yeah.
Quite a bit of leather, quite a bit of domes.
Dome buttons, snaps,
and
leather.
Spikes and.
Yep. And I believe mousse was going. Hair mousse was a big thing.
Yeah. I was thinking about rewatching actually the old Mad Max movies, but I feel now, having watched that 5 minutes, I feel sufficiently refreshed. And I know that there's not a great link between the previous Mad Max movies and this new one, but I felt like it was sort of good to be like, that's right, that's what happened. So
So you can check out that 5-minute recap of Mad Max on our Twitter feed. So that's 2player co-op, 2player CO_OP. And so Dan's linked that and shout out to ITN for putting that together.
Definitely.
But in terms of Mad Max Fury Road, we saw a little bit of the trailer of that as well, and that's looking pretty bloody amazing.
I know, look, I'm hearing a really good thing around the different reviewers around the internet. Like, I try to sort of steer clear of too many reviews and things before I go see a movie. I like to keep it pretty open, but like I'm hearing like people dropping like 9s and 10s when they're talking about Mad Max, so I'm definitely excited. Like, and by the time we do our episode 3, like, we definitely would have seen it.
So next episode we'll definitely have seen it, and we'll dig in. We'll be reviewing it here. Just before we move on of Mad Max, one funny thing that I heard is there's always sort of you do hear about these different groups reacting to it's not particularly with Mad Max but other movies. That particular movie's misogynistic, or they're too violent, or taking belittling a particular culture. Funny thing I heard about Mad Max Fury Road, the men's activist groups are up in arms about Charlize Theron's character apparently is too strong for some men.
Wow.
Don't know how you like your women, but I'm quite happy. If I'm rolling in a busted up, dune buggy in a post-apocalyptic world with a skull in the front, and I'm being chased by a bunch of crazy B&D wearing, like, leather and chain wearing kind of guys, I don't care if my co-pilot's a bit too bossy and a strong female lead. She can bark orders at me all she likes, as long as we get out alive. So
exactly.
There's some of the men's groups were like, Charlize Theron's character is too alpha.
Anything for a bit of publicity, like, that's crazy. I can't. Is this, where in the world is this coming from? I hope it's not New Zealand. Like, no. I thought it was like a men's group in Australia. I might be wrong on that, but like some men's group, like, going nuts about, and specifically, we're really upset that Charlize Theron's character barked an order at Mad Max. I think her character's name is Furiosa. And to bark an order at Mad Max while they're being chased. And I was like, dude, guys have been barking orders at weak female leads who are there little more than to give the main character something to rescue for the entire time I've been growing up. Get with it. I was in the car today, my girlfriend, she barked an order at me, like, that's happening all the time.
Look,
it's not a thing.
Yeah, look, if you're married, or shacked up with a long-term partner, you've got kids and all that kind of stuff, you've probably been barked at every day.
Exactly. So you just go in Mad Max mode, just concentrate on driving, don't worry about it. Don't go whole hog Mad Max when you're driving. Like, I've got the car seat in the back, and the maybe just give way at intersections and stick to the speed limit. But in your mind, you can go. In your mind, do whatever you like. And then just say yes.
Yes, dear. Happy wife, happy life.
Exactly, as they say. All right, so
we've got some new material for Force Awakens.
Oh my god, we have. So we've got a couple of photos have been released.
Yeah.
It looks like there's one on a snow planet, which I'm going to say like a Hoth.
So it looks very Hoth-like to me. Although, to be fair, everyone saw the big downed Star Destroyer on that desert planet, and they were like, "Oh, Tatooine!" It's actually Jakku or Jakku.
That's right. I'm only saying Hoth because I sort of feel like Snowtrooper, Snow, Hoth, but that's a pretty big jump. But either way, I love that shot. Like, those Snowtroopers are pretty. Hey,
Snowtrooper V.2, right? Like version 2. They've been rebooted. They've been upgraded, right?
Snowtroopers have always been like one of my favourite type of trooper. Like, they've always looked so awesome.
Slight tangent. Snowtroopers. Okay, we've got Stormtroopers, Snowtroopers. What about the Scout Troopers?
Or the Sandtrooper. So the Sandtrooper is like a version of a Stormtrooper. I do like the Scout Trooper as well. Though I've
I always liked Scout Troopers. They were cool.
like for instance, Return of the Jedi Scout Trooper, like with the sort of aviator type helmet. Yeah, pretty cool. The one thing I've never liked about them, like from the Return of the Jedi, is they've always just got those little pistols.
Yeah.
Whereas like I would imagine if you're a Scout Trooper, you should have like the Sand Trooper type sniper rifle because you're like busting through the bush.
Yeah.
Like, but who knows? But I love them all.
So we're back to our Hoth-like planet. We're not settled on Hoth. Maybe it is. I don't know.
A snow planet.
A snow planet. We've got two cool looking snow troopers in the background, and Kylo Ren.
Yes.
Who you would have recognised from the very very early trailers and teasers released.
Yes.
He's the guy with the cool hilted crossguard lightsaber. And you know, in case you didn't guess by his attire, he's a bad guy.
Yeah. Well. So, is he a bad guy? Is it confirmed?
He
is? Right,
pretty sure he's hanging out with snowtroopers and he's dressed all in black. So
this is, I guess
that's
well,
you know, maybe he could turn out to be like a really cool, nice guy, but he's hanging with the wrong crew. So we've got Kylo Ren. First look at his face. He's looking pretty badass.
Definitely.
And the two cool snowtroopers in the background. We've also got Poe Dameron, who's the X-wing pilot, and he's looking pretty Top Gun, Tom Cruise standing there and next to his X-wing.
I think I might have heard something about him maybe having another role in the new Rogue One movie as well. So I wonder whether there's going to be more story about that as well.
Yeah, and so Rogue One's like the Genesis story for Rogue Squadron, right?
That's right, and I think the plot to that story is going to be about stealing the plans to the first Death Star.
Yeah, just basically. Oh, stealing the plans to the first Death Star. Yeah.
I think don't quote me on that, but. It's all a bit of a mixture of Star Wars. There's so much Star Wars stuff going on. Yeah. I can't give up.
And I think one of the things I'm really, really excited about is the Chrome Trooper.
Oh, yes.
Captain Phasma.
Brienne of
Tarth. So rumours abound that the Chrome Trooper, or Captain Phasma, is going to be played by Gwendolyn Christie, who is the actress who plays Brienne of Tarth, and does a bloody awesome job.
Exactly.
And that's really cool.
She's already a badass on Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I can only imagine what a great Chrome Trooper she is going to be. Like those shots of her just sort of in her Chrome Trooper outfit.
Like she's got a rifle and she's kind of like marching down the hall. She means business.
Exactly.
I've heard a rumor that she is actually going to be so the stormtrooper who defects, Lee Boyaga, his character, she's going to be his boss, and she's pissed and hunting him down.
Right.
That's one rumor I heard. And look, regardless, she looks pretty badass, and cosplayers the world over are going to be creaming their pants.
I think
upgrading that kit.
Someone was saying to me the other day, like, probably in about October, we're probably going to start seeing some of the toy lines start to drop as well around, Star Wars: The Force Awakens. And is this going to? I was thinking to myself, is this the first time as an adult which I'm going to be like, I need to buy all these.
I want toys.
I'm going to buy all these carded figures, and I need to save them for generations to hand on, so I can be like, my father has it, you have it. You have my toys.
Absolutely. I agree. I want my son to grow up loving Star Wars and to have some pretty awesome toys, in his collection. And who knows whether they'll be around in 10 years' time, or whatever, however old he is when he starts getting interested in this. So, yeah, I could absolutely imagine. In fact, just to diverge for a second or go off on a tangent. Speaking of toys from a childhood, this you guys may recognise as Starscream, my favourite Transformer from when I was a kid. Never actually had him when I was a kid, and then look, fantastic to have him. And Danny here bought it for me for my birthday when he heard that it was my favourite Transformer. Favourite Transformer when I was a kid. The only my best Transformer that I actually had, because I didn't have Starscream. I'm not bitter about that, Mum. Was Slag, who was the Triceratops.
Right. The Brontosaurus or
the Triceratops. What were they called? Dinobot. Yeah, he was cool.
I have recently, actually, while we diverge into Transformers, I have been going into like a Transformers internet wormhole. Like I'm in deep, and I'm
Generation 1.
Generation 1, and I'm actually just last night. I just downloaded some comics around Transformers, which I've heard are really great stories because obviously going back to watch the G1 cartoon is a little bit, doesn't really relate to me at my current age.
Yeah.
But I do want to give a shout out actually to Optibottomist, and we'll put a link down here on the screen, but he does some fantastic reviews of these Transformers figures, so if you're interested in checking them out, definitely check out his YouTube page. He's got some great content. Yeah. So
the reason is we were just talking about before is adults having toys. This guy's cool. Like I'm not out there playing with him in the sand or whatever. He's just awesome to have, and awesome to if you're a geek, it's a bit of cool little geek swag.
No, I understand though. I mean, you actually said for each episode you're going to transform him. So next week will we see Starscream?
Absolutely. So next week we're going to see Starscream standing there, looking all douchey and cool, boss mode. And apparently Starscream's right up there in terms of difficulty level. So he's like one of the more difficult Transformers to transform. So I just set myself.
I can just imagine telling you, I'm going to need a couple of hours. I've got a difficult transformation to manage. Starscream.
What I think we should do is actually just set the camera going and just focus on Starscream and just me trying to transform him, and all the cursing and frustration and grunting that goes on with it.
Well, especially as the instructions come in Japanese.
Helpful. Really helpful.
So,
Thank you. But so anyway, back to the Force Awakens.
Yeah.
The last photo I think that was released, and you can get this on a couple of websites, but we saw this on Vanity Fair, which was Rey, R-E-Y. We don't have a last name for her. Just hanging out on her that really boxy, big looking speeder.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really care about particularly about the photo because it's like we've already seen. Well, I do, but we've already seen a lot about her and her speeder. She's in the trailer and all that.
Yeah.
But one question I wanted to ask you around this whole her identity.
Yes.
Who is she? Is she Skywalker's daughter? Is she Leia's and Han Solo's daughter? Is she Force sensitive? There's a couple of theories.
These are great questions. I don't know. I don't know. I feel very unclear about what's canon and not canon anymore, and so I couldn't tell you the names of Han Solo and Princess Leia's children. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's their daughter or some connection, because I know that Luke Skywalker's daughter is called Mara Jade, I'm pretty sure.
Right, yeah.
So she may be, but do you have any theory yourself?
I'm thinking it's so that I think we see in the trailer someone passing a lightsaber to someone else, and I'm wondering if they've taken that's Leia's hand, passing the lightsaber to Rey, the daughter. Excuse me. And that she's taken off on a little adventure and got herself into trouble, and she ends up hooking up with catching up with Lloyd Boyega, and we see her rescuing him, picking him up.
That's right.
So I kind of wonder if she is Leia's daughter, Leia and Han's daughter, or nephew or niece, sorry, and she's out on her adventure, for the rebellion, because it would work in with Leia being like that feisty daughter of
definitely. You imagine the genes of Han Solo and Princess Leia.
Oh yeah,
that kid's doing whatever she wants.
She's rebellious. She's out there. She's headstrong. She's doing something. I don't know what, getting herself into trouble, and that would make sense to me.
Look, I expect as we build up more and more to The Force Awakens, we're going to be seeing stuff every week, new stuff's dropping.
Yeah.
So
wouldn't it be cool? We saw Han and Chewie sort of jumping in there in the trailer, oh, hey Chewie, we're home, yay. And wouldn't it be cool if that was more than just a bit part? I'm really hoping that they, maybe Han's gone off to find his wayward daughter.
Yeah. So where do you think home is? He's like, we're home.
That was a Falcon for sure. That was Millennium Falcon. So I reckon that. Somewhere along the line they've been separated from the Millennium Falcon, or they've sold it, because he's settled down. He's a respectable man. He's a family man now. Yeah, respectable. Yeah, and struggling with the word respectable. I can't say it anymore.
Respectable.
Yep, they're struggling with that word today. So he's settled down. Maybe they've gotten rid of the Falcon, and he's just. I don't know, him and Chewie have just busted in and either taken it over or bought it legitimately, which would be really boring. He walks into the cockpit and goes...
It's like a Craigslist, we found the Falcon.
Yeah, that's right, on Amazon.
Yeah, exactly.
and he's like, yeah, Chewie, we're home. That's home for him.
Right.
I don't know how Leia feels about that.
Yeah, I can imagine she wouldn't be pleased.
Yeah. Every man has his man cave.
Exactly,
right?
exactly. And the Falcon's the perfect one.
Han, are you finishing the Falcon? Oh, just a couple more hours.
I'm shutting down the generator.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so that's The Force Awakens. Let's go to the small screen. We've had season 5, episode 5 of Game of Thrones.
Exactly.
AKA Sansa and Ramsay kissing under the tree.
Yeah. So we're halfway through season 5, which I can't believe we're halfway through already.
I know,
it's going too fast. Like there's such a wait for it, and it's like, God, we're halfway through already. But a lot of, I guess, big things are starting to happen in this episode, which are starting to, I guess, set the scene for where this season's going to go and where it's all going to end up. I guess first of all we started with a death, which we knew.
Pretty awesome. Yeah, pretty awesome way for Barristan the Bold to go out.
Exactly.
He was always the ultimate badass in Westeros. Even Jaime Lannister would pay tribute to him in terms of his skill with the sword, and I think did Jaime Lannister apprenticed to Barristan?
Yes, he did. That's right.
So this guy is like the top of the food chain in Westeros.
He's battle hardened as well. Like, he's been through all the major wars in Westeros. The last 50, 60 years.
And you saw that he was kicking ass in that street fight.
Those Harpies, they were nothing.
Yeah,
he's just like
rescuing the Grey Worm.
Exactly.
And I'm really sad to see him go. So he's one of the characters that we've agreed that when we're talking about Game of Thrones, the TV show, we're talking about the TV show and not spoiler alerting the future. But I can say, in terms of Divergence, he's a character that lives in the book that is now dead.
That's right.
So I was kind of, oh my god, surprise, and that keeps me on my feet, on my toes.
Exactly.
As someone who's read the books, you're starting to see that this series is diverging. So I was really upset about Barristan Bold being killed. But it was a good way for him to go out.
I think the big thing about him being killed though is that I think it leaves a really big gap in Dany's advisors because she's got the aggressive people that want to do battle. She's got
Nario Daharis.
Exactly.
Dario Naharis.
She's got a whole she's got a whole bunch of people there who I think kind of have they're in it for something else for themselves. I think a lot of them as well. Whereas,
I wonder if this is the chance for Dany to go, okay, I've lost Barristan and I'm really sort of feeling down and out, and it's her chance to step up and go, nah, you know what, I got to where I am not because I relied on other people, but I relied on my own judgment. We saw a scene with Missandei and Dany. She got that exact advice.
Yep.
And how badass is Dany in this episode, where she's like, lines up the leaders of the great families, takes them down to the dragon cage, dragon pit, and one of them gets burnt up and literally torn apart.
Yeah, exactly,
right?
like a piece of chicken.
How badass was she? And she was like, oh, I don't want to overfeed them. And then she's just like, maybe tomorrow.
Yeah.
Maybe tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then she's like, I'm gonna reopen. Hey, what's his name? Hiddist or
I forget his name.
H guy.
Yep.
The guy who's that represents the great families of Marine.
Yeah.
She's like brings him in, and he's like begging for his life and all that kind of stuff. And she's like, I've decided to reopen the fighting pits. You're right. Tradition is, this is my judgment.
That's right.
I'm using my judgment. Tradition. I'm going to help keep this city together. And just casually, I've decided to marry you.
Worst things could happen.
Worst things could happen, right?
He was going to die. Now he's now he's due to be married to Daenerys Targaryen.
So what I'm hoping is, let's get the fuck out of Marine, because I'm kind of sick of Dany being stuck there.
Definitely.
I'm really keen for her plot to advance and get out of Marine. Marry that guy. Calm the city, all that kind of stuff. Bring the city together. Leave him in charge and bugger off. That's what I think should happen.
She's kind of got a poor history though of leaving the city and the city falling apart. Do you know what I mean? Like the minute she leaves, unless she eradicates the Sons of the Harpy. Yeah. Like they're gonna.
Well, what I'm hoping is this is if she marries him and leaves, this is the thing that takes the Sons of the Harpies out.
Exactly. Well, hopefully. Surely
not take them out, physically, like
manages that side of the
politically.
Things. Yeah, exactly. So some other big things happened in this episode as well.
Yes.
So obviously, Sansa now knows about Theon.
Reek.
As Reek.
Yeah. Pretty confronting. And I was a little bit worried because I thought Miranda, who's Ramsay Bolton's sort of paramour,
That's
or
right.
lover, the daughter of the kennel master, I thought she was setting her up for like
So
a
did I.
dog attack.
I was like, oh, not Sansa, like,
Yeah.
God, she's,
Yeah.
I finally like grown to really like Sansa as a character.
Yeah, and she's matured and she's gotten battle hardened, politically speaking.
She's smart. She's playing the game.
She's smart. Yeah. I really like her character as well.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought that was an interesting direction, and even when she's sitting at the table with Ramsay and his father, Bruce Bolton,
yeah.
like she's playing the game, like Dawn is the little girl who could sort of be crying, asking to be excused. Like she's sitting there, like thinking about what her next move is.
And how interesting was it to see Ramsay Bolton put off guard by, we're on other happy news. Me and Fat Walder are going to be Fat Walder. Fat Walder Craig.
Yeah.
Do you know the background as to why he got married? He was married to her?
Wasn't that part of the deal to secure the twins? And
I believe it actually predated that.
Really?
In the story.
Right.
But no, I think you might be right. It is part of the deal. But Walder Frey, the guy who currently rules the twins, was like.
Host of the Red Wedding.
I've got he's got host of the famous Red Wedding. I've got 1 million daughters and granddaughters and nieces and all that kind of stuff, and I want to marry them off, get rid of them, get rid of my sons too. But he's like, I'll give you their weight in silver.
Right. Oh, right.
Or weight in gold for the person that you decide to marry, Bruce Bolton. He goes, okay, I'll take Fat Walder. that's how.
What a choice.
Side note, right? Yeah. Side note, but that's how he ended up with Fat Walder.
So also we had that great scene where basically Jon Snow with Maester Aemon. Like it's time to
kill the boy.
Kill the boy.
So the title for
is that the title? Is it
Kill the boy? Yeah.
And there was this great moment of like, right, so this is really, if you put it on that angle, whether you put it on the Ramsay Bolton angle, but this is the moment where actually, and I think he was dead right. It's time for Jon Snow to like step up. Like you're the Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. You are making decisions which have an impact on pretty much the realm. Like it's huge.
And I think one theme for me is around people stepping up and sort of coming into their own around their leadership or in the vacuum of advisors. So you saw Dany step up and make a confident call by herself, to open the pits and marry that guy. And now you're seeing Jon Snow step up and say, you know what, I am going to bring the free folk over the wall and save them, because every free folk or wildling that goes down to a White Walker then gets back up as a White Walker. And so if you've got 20,000 free folk, why would we want to fight 20,000 White Walkers?
Exactly. And speaking of, I guess, people who are stepping up, Samuel Tarly. He every episode, he's a voice at the table.
I know, he's cool. And this is the thing around, like we were talking about before with Age of Ultron, or the Avengers, and like really good witty dialogue. This program has that in buckets loads.
Exactly.
He's a really funny guy as well.
So I guess, and the other big scene was when Tyrion and what his name was that in?
Jorah Mormont.
Heading and they said the people, what are they called, the Stone
Valyria. So they go to the ruins of old Valyria, and the Stone Men.
They jump in and attack them. He gets the greyscale on the wrist.
Hey buddy, you've got
the grayscale.
Yeah.
And so grayscale, for anyone who doesn't
Armadillo AIDS.
Armadillo AIDS. Can we call it that from now on?
I think we can call it Armadillo AIDS.
Right, so Armadillo AIDS, basically, if you think of it a bit like leprosy, as soon as someone touches you, then you basically get the Armadillo AIDS. And then your body basically starts to shut down and harden as
solidifies. Turns into rock.
Exactly, so as they say, the Stone Men.
Yeah.
So basically all the Stone Men are kept over here, like, don't touch us, keep away. And like, what's Jorah going to do? I thought, is this the moment you chop your arm?
I was thinking Walking Dead.
That arm's going to go.
That's right.
Yeah, I think it has to.
You get bitten on the limb, or you get some grayscale on the limb, but he didn't do it. And I guess look, to be fair, there's already one one-handed knight running around the realm. We're going to have two.
Yeah.
So look, so Jorah Mormont and Tyrion trying to make their way back to Dany.
That's
right. Obviously, Jorah Mormont thinks he's going to save Dany and or at least redeem himself by bringing this horrible Tyrion. And the ironic thing is that Tyrion was already on his way.
Exactly. So, do you know one thing I think is quite interesting about this whole Armadillo AIDS is in the episode before, Stannis, they had that whole scene where Stannis explained Armadillo AIDS to his daughter, and like, why would you have like talk about that I brought all the maesters in, there was a cure, blah blah blah. Like, they wanted to remind us that Armadillo AIDS can be cured.
They were setting it up.
Exactly.
Although, look, if we're gonna, this is completely a prediction because, so this is not a spoiler alert because this is another divergence. So Tyrion doesn't go through the ruins of Old
That's right.
Jorah and Mormont. He goes through it with a bunch of other people.
Mm.
But so my prediction around this, or what I think they're going with this, is that Jorah Mormont's got Stone Scale. He takes Tyrion back to Dany. Or gets rejected by Dany again, like just because you bring me Tyrion doesn't mean I'm going to
even though there was a spot opened up.
Conveniently. So what I think's going on is that at some point we can see the death of Jorah Mormont coming in.
Definitely.
Some sort of valiant self-sacrifice to redeem himself.
Exactly.
But look, this is now a diverged plot. So the readers of the book have no more clue than the people who are only watching the series.
I think just where this whole sort of season is going, like obviously Stannis is now marching on Winterfell, and I think that obviously we're heading into a big battle between the Boltons and Stannis. Stannis is one of the greatest war commanders of Westeros.
Absolutely.
You're going to get a fucking smackdown.
Yeah, and look, just on that, if there was ever any doubt, because this Game of Thrones really plays well in terms of turning apparently bad guys or giving them some sort of redeeming feature, and really, really apparently good guys now being kind of evil. Like it's really good at playing that sort of blurred lines thing. And so, but I will say this: if there's one guy who is worthy of the title of complete arsehole, it's Roose Bolton.
Oh,
how about that scene when he's telling Ramsay's obviously, I'm the heir until someone better comes along, and he's really insecure about Fat Walter being pregnant. And he's like, what's going on? And I kind of contrast it with Stannis having that chat with his daughter. Like you got Stone Scale, and I turned the world upside down to save you.
You're still
and
princess.
And so you're a Princess Shireen of the House Baratheon. You used to belong here with me. Roose Bolton's speech was, so I raped this peasant woman and almost killed her, strangled her, and then she dared turn up at my gates with a squealing baby, and I was going to have her killed, but then I could see you, and you kind of look like me.
Where is the men's rights group on this one?
No idea,
yeah.
But look, if anyone was, like I was saying before, if anyone's worthy of the term complete arsehole and like truly a bad guy, really a bad guy, then Roose Bolton's the.
I think he's got a death coming this episode. This
gruesome death.
I hope. Yeah, it's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming.
So Game of Thrones, that covers off Game of Thrones for us. This isn't something that we're watching or have watched, but really anticipating Fear the Walking Dead. So not The Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead. What's the concept between?
So Fear the Walking Dead is another story within the Walking Dead universe. So we know this is going to be
it's kind of like an origin story, isn't it?
So this story is going to be set in LA, and it's going to be set from when the whole, I guess,
the outbreak
happens.
Yeah.
And so we know that I think it's a 6 or 7, maybe it's a 6 episode season 1, and they've already signed up for a season 2.
Wicked.
So they've already filmed the pilot, and they are basically filming right now for the other, I guess, 4 or 5 episodes they need to film.
So Cliff Curtis in it?
Exactly.
Cool, Kiwi guy.
Kiwi, exactly.
Yeah, he's pretty awesome. And so we know that it's sort of this prequel sort of it's where The Walking Dead cuts in. The outbreak's already happened. Rick Grimes is asleep in hospital or recovering in hospital. He wakes up and actually the entire hospital is deserted and shut down. You remember that very first scene or the very first sort of opening act. We've got like that door that's shut.
That's right,
it's like, don't open, dead inside. Yep. It's kind of like, you think it's like a dead bodies, but it's actually a whole bunch of dead.
Walking Dead. Right.
Yep. And so this is going to be sort of an alternate storyline.
That's right.
Completely different part of the country.
Exactly. So we don't know whether there's going to be any crossover with some of the, I guess, the previous cast of Walking Dead, or whether at any point these stories will intersect. At this stage, we don't, I guess, know a whole lot about it, other than the fact that I guess Cliff Curtis is a divorce teacher.
divorced teacher.
Or is he a teacher who's divorced?
He's not a divorce teacher, so he's not teaching divorce.
Right.
He's a teacher who is divorced.
I think
it's a really important comma in there at some point. I'm not sure at which order. But there's a character called Madison who has a daughter.
Someone who's recovering from a drug addiction.
Yeah. So like, even you go on, if you start looking it up on IMDb or Wikipedia or whatever, there's not a lot of information in terms of the plot summary or anything. But you know, it is really cool to see this kind of, you know, alternate story coming out. And I guess it's just a way for AMC to kind of keep things fresh and people engaged and interested.
Well, they obviously feel like they've got enough content there to have like multiple story arcs going on.
Yeah.
And you know something I was thinking about earlier with The Walking Dead? I was thinking, oh, this guy's a teacher who's divorced. And it's like, oh. But it doesn't actually matter. Like, when you think about everyone on The Walking Dead, maybe apart from Rick, is that, you know, Glenn, pizza delivery boy.
Yeah.
Daryl.
Motorbike.
Selling meth with his brother.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Whatever it does. No one really knows the backstory to Daryl.
No.
But anyway.
So it doesn't really matter. Like, you know, like Glenn was just a gaming. He was into, like, I remember when he first came on board, it was you know, I played on my Xbox and my PlayStation.
Exactly.
Like,
and so I can show you through the city because I used to deliver pizzas here.
Yeah.
Through the city.
And Carol was this meek, mild-mannered, abused housewife.
Yeah.
Carol also happens to be the main love interest of our main man Dan here.
That's right. I've got two love interests. Don't know if I want to talk about them both on today's episode.
No crossovers. There's
crossovers.
no Marvel DC crossovers here.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Carol is certainly.
I am a Carol fan. I'm Team Carol.
Yeah.
I think she's a great girl, especially from what she was to what she's become.
Yeah.
I've just really enjoyed the evolution of that character, and she's a badass.
This is the true test, though. Zombie apocalypse outbreak.
Mm-hmm.
You're choosing one character from The Walking Dead to take with you to help you survive.
Yes.
Is it Carol?
It's definitely Carol.
Is it?
Carol's a survivor. Rick drove her out into the countryside and was like, I'm out. I can't trust you. She survived, made her way back, freed them from the camp where they were going to be eaten by cannibals. She knows what she's doing. Carol ain't no rookie. She's got it. Who are you thinking?
Oh, look, it's either Rick or maybe Glenn. I feel like
Glenn's a good choice.
Glenn's a good compliment to my skill set.
Yeah.
And my skill set being large. So he's a good compliment to my skill set.
Right. Okay. You guys are like a Master Blaster combo.
Yeah. Master Blaster combo. Oh my god. Hey, yeah. Well, we've covered off Mad Max, but holy cow! If you haven't seen that 5-minute recap, go see it. There's so many cool 80s moments there.
Exactly.
So Fear the Walking Dead, not a lot known about it. I'm really excited. I mean, you know, I love The Walking Dead anyway.
Exactly.
And like, when does it come back out? October?
So October. So this is the great thing about The Walking Dead because they do that split season.
Yeah.
Where they break for New Zealand our summer. Their winter. I guess.
That's right, because it's all.
It's like you get some Walking Dead. You have Christmas break. You come back to some more Walking Dead, and it's not long before you start Walking Dead again.
Yeah.
As opposed to Game of Thrones, where you're like, I'm going into hibernation. I'll see you in 1 year.
Yeah.
April next year when it kicks off again.
Yeah, it's so depressing. Like we were saying before, you know, we're halfway through season 5 of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, oh, you've been on a really awesome holiday, and you can see sort of, you know, that the back end of that holiday coming, and then work after that.
That's right.
Depressing.
Exactly.
That's what it feels like. Anyway,
Fear the Walking Dead. Well, as more comes out about that, we'll definitely be all over that.
So in terms of gaming, so we always cover off, you know, our channel is always about, you know, movies, TV, gaming.
What are you
Anything
playing?
else? What are you playing?
So I'm still Battlefield 4. In fact, I'm getting deeper and deeper every day. Like
You've gone down the wormhole.
I'm down the wormhole. Like I'm unlocking more guns. I'm even thinking about right now. When I leave here, I'm going to have to play some Battlefield. I need to get in at least one or two. Like I'm not even that good, but I just love playing it. Like when I get those kills, I savor that moment.
I tell you, I've played Battlefield, the whole franchise for a long time, and it doesn't matter if it's Battlefield 4 or Battlefield 1942. You get into sometimes you can get into a funk, like a really like a downward spiral of kill deaths, and it's kind of like your ratio's out of horrible. You spawn in for 3 seconds and you spawn in front of a whole bunch of bad guys. You're dead. like sometimes you get those rounds where you just cannot get on top, and then sometimes, usually when there's no one around, you're not gaming with anyone.
You're the king.
You're the king. Like I had a couple of rounds over the weekend where I'm just like snapshotting headshots with my sniper rifle, and it's just bang, line it up, bang. Like none of this sort of like having a couple of seconds laying it up. It's just you one shot, one kill like 7 or 8 times in a row, and you're like, oh, wicked.
Yeah, definitely. Like Battlefield 4 is still a big game on my radar. Probably going to be giving Witcher 3 a go. I know that comes out this week on the 19th.
Right, yeah,
so it's a big RPG.
It wasn't Witcher. The first game, whenever that came out, like however many years ago, that was cool for its time.
Yeah, definitely.
So Witcher 3, really hoping.
And that's getting some huge reviews, man. I think GameSpot gave it a 10. I think IGN gave it a 9.3.
Yeah, that is massive.
Like 100 plus hours of gameplay. That's not even counting like the side stories, side missions. I hear there's 200 plus, so I think I'm going to get into that. Though it's going to have to be balanced with my Battlefield time because I need my Battlefield time.
So Witcher 3 comes out like this week or next week? Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And then in November we've got Star Wars Battlefront, which I am absolutely hanging out for.
I think that could be my Battlefield replacement.
Right, so you could see yourself sort of winding down Battlefield 4 as Star Wars Battlefront comes out.
Yeah, and so generally I feel like you've got limited time in the game. You can only do one sort of major sort of thing where you're trying to sort of unlock and progression, all that type of thing. So I think if that's everything it looks like it's going to be, then that's going to just tick all the boxes for me. Yeah.
So funny story. I had my birthday recently. And my wife was like, what am I going to get you? And I was like, well, easy answer. There's this really cool game coming out in November, which, you can go pre-order. It would be awesome. That would be a great present. So she did that. And I was thinking, this is awesome because I've actually got another baby on the way. And in my head I was thinking, baby's due in January. So November is, a good 2 or 3 months, 2 months. 3 months, depending on how the whole due date thing goes, of game time, but before my life gets sort of turned upside down again because we've already got one boy, and I was thinking that's awesome, that's really great. Mm-hmm. And then you were telling me, we were talking about Battlefront a couple of weeks ago, and you're like, oh yeah, so when Battlefront comes out in November, and then my wife was like, oh, so pity baby number 2 is due in November. I was like, what? I've got my Cohen, my son, was born in January, and for some reason in my head I was like January was just sort of the month that I was focused on, and I got my months mixed up, and I thought that baby number 2 was due in January, and I was going to have Star Wars Battlefront.
Wow.
No, baby number 2 is due November the 5th. Star Wars comes out November. It's going to be. My head is going to be down into this whole baby world for like a number of months.
You're going to be like rocking a crib.
Oh yeah, I have to front pack that thing.
Oh my god.
I don't know what I'm going to do, but the timing is not great.
You need a hot tub time machine so you can like fix some stuff.
Get some of that timing reordered. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. But Star Wars Battlefront, I'm really looking forward to. But what are you looking forward to? Like, what are you looking for in your next genre? Like, so we both got like games in the pipeline that we're looking forward to.
Yeah.
But if you're going to pick something, would you go back to like, would you reboot Call of Duty, like the original?
So I've actually got quite a few thoughts on this. So recently they just announced Call of Duty Black Ops 3. So the Black Ops line sort of started in that Vietnamish type era, and then it looks like this is going to be another future-focused wargamer. And to tell the truth, like I actually would really embrace a Call of Duty or even a Battlefield or even like, dare I say it, Medal of Honor type game back in the World War II era, because I think we haven't had anything like, with the graphics that we have today on PS4 and PC, in that World War II era that was as good as those original Call of Duty games. Yeah, and
you loved that World War II era. When I mentioned to you War Thunder and I said World War II fighter game, you were like, bang, I'm in. So I agree. Like I played Call of Duty, but the whole way through. Yeah. Really loved Call of Duty and loved sort of at the time the graphics were pretty cool, and it had that storyline that just was really engaging.
They were heavy single player focused games, and like those D-Day beach landings.
Yeah.
Imagine those set as like multiplayer matches.
And multiplayer games have gone down this line of like, it's 10 hours, a token 10 hours of single player. 5. single player campaign. It's basically just to get you used to the game so you can go and play
Learn the
multiplayer.
controls, yeah, that's right.
But Call of Duty had that really engaging storyline. You can play for a good week or two before you get on, depending on your time constraints, before you get on to multiplayer stuff.
Imagine this, you're playing multiplayer where you're on Omaha Beach and you're trying to take Omaha Beach and there's a Germans are trying to hold you off. Like imagine like 32, like 64 players on the map trying to like storm the beach.
But you know, like, but the attackers have like 1,200 tickets and the defenders have 400. Or something like that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that would be cool.
There'll be some huge saving Private Ryan moments in that.
Oh, absolutely. So for me, look, I've actually I'm not so much thinking about rebooting a franchise, but I've actually started playing Command & Conquer 3 again.
Wow,
old school. I've got my old big plastic bin of games out, and I really, because I've been hitting Battlefield 4 quite a bit, and there's a lot of adrenaline and tension, and so like a fast action pace. Command & Conquer 3, it's a real-time strategy. And you guys all know what the real-time strategy is. There's been plenty of real-time strategies. It's the Total War franchise. The last one that I was playing that was Napoleon Total War, and that's really cool. Rome Total War 3, I think. Yeah, that's got rebooted. Yeah. That's really awesome. But I just thought it would go a little bit old school, and I love that Command & Conquer franchise. So I went back and played a little bit of that, and it's nice and relaxing. Like it's sort of a nice change of pace from Fast and Furious first-person shooters.
How does it stack up? Like, does it feel like an old game, or does it feel like?
Oh, look, it doesn't. It doesn't feel like an old game because it's Command & Conquer 3, which was the really, but it came boxed with Command & Conquer 95. So if you really want to, if you don't want a game that feels really old, you can chuck the discs in, and they've got it ready to work on Windows 7 or Vista or whatever, Windows 8. So you can go back and do that if you want. I've been playing Command & Conquer 3. I mean, look, it is a bit dated. Yeah. Like the user interface, I mean, it takes 7 clicks to get out to quit the game type thing. Where in modern day games, it's like exit. Do you want to quit the game? Do you want to exit menu or whatever, and you're done. So it feels a bit dated. Some of the voice acting is cool though. And in fact, Command & Conquer franchise was one of those franchises that used a lot of cutscenes. And so there's the guy off, the guy off, oh god, I'm really struggling, Starship Troopers, the teacher, Red Chet, he's in it. There's a bunch of Battlestar Galactica actors that are in it before Battlestar Galactica. So it's really cool. It's just a nice change of pace.
I'll tell you another game I've been playing. I've actually picked up in the Steam sale a couple of weeks ago, because I'm on this big like Transformers bent and deep in this wormhole, as I picked up, I think it's called Fall of Cybertron, and you get to play, like, I've only played the first maybe a level or so, but you get to start off as Optimus Prime running through Cybertron. That's cool. Trying to get, like, you can transform into truck mode, and it's third person, so I think there's also multiplayer which is still quite active, so when I get some time I need to get involved in that, and like, I'm loving it.
Hey, Steam is pretty awesome, isn't it? Because they do re-release all these they get the rights to re-release these packages like X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. I think there was a package of about 6 flying games for May the 4th. So X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, I think there was TIE Fighter, there was X-Wing Fighter, like all these really cool fun games. Yeah. I remember X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, or was it just TIE Fighter? I can't remember. Had this really, really cool multiplayer thing set up, and I didn't buy it, haven't had a look at it, but it'll be interesting to see if that multiplayer network is still going.
Do you know one thing I actually really do like about Steam is I don't even really go hunting for games on Steam. Like, I normally just every weekend what's on in the Steam sale this weekend? I'm like, oh wow, this game's only like $5 or something, and I end up just sort of grabbing it, and I don't always play it straight away, but I feel like I'm building up this quite a good sort of backlog of PC games that
a back catalogue.
A back catalogue. When I get a chance, I'm going to have a jam through. So that's
and it's a little bit like getting back to our childhood roots. With old Starscream here or X-Wing versus TIE Fighter.
Yeah, definitely.
These cool games from the past. They're really cool. And actually, hot tip: the Internet Archive has about 2,500 games that were MS-DOS games that were released in the 80s and 90s. So if you were like, I used to spend a lot of time down at the local video game parlour playing Gauntlet and Gauntlet 2.
Great games.
You can get those. They're free. You just need to sort of find your way through their clunky search engine. But you can play online. There's Archon was a really cool Amiga-based game that we played. Defender of the Crown, Pirates, all these really Leisure Suit Larry.
That's actually
do you remember Hostages?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that was cool.
Did you remember like Commander Keen and Wonder Boy and all this sort of stuff?
No, I didn't. I played a little bit of Rocket and who's the purple hedgehog? Sonic, sorry, Rocket. Sonic. Yeah, blue guy, that guy.
Yep.
I played a bit of him on the Nintendo. Actually, GoldenEye. Do you remember playing
Oh my
GoldenEye on the
god.
N64?
I never owned it, but I used to, when I was going to go around to your friend's house and you had a big GoldenEye session.
And you could get a 4-way split screen on the TV. That was
so good.
Cool.
That was like the big.
The N64 was awesome.
Yeah. Do you know, those are some of the things I miss about gaming these days is like that couch co-op. Where you're actually with your friends, actually, like it's so much funnier when you're actually with someone. And you know, I think actually like Halo had a little bit of that where you'd go around to your friend's house, you'd Ethernet up your Xboxes and...
Yeah. Have a LAN party. BYO Ethernet.
BYO Ethernet.
So look, that probably wraps up our gaming.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Which probably brings us to the end of the episode.
It does indeed.
So look, that's so we've covered off our traditional Game of Thrones, our Force Awakens recap, and remember, Force Awakens, we're going to be covering that every episode right up until the point where it's released in December, and we're going to be doing an immediate reaction. So we'll be taking the camera out, the microphones out.
We'll be behind the movie theatre like, oh my god.
We will not be setting up the camera in the movie theatre because that could get us kicked out.
That's
but immediately after we'll be recording our reaction, going nuts.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
It's going to be awesome. So that's what, 15th of December?
Yeah, 15th December.
Yeah, awesome.
So we're looking forward to that. But that's every episode. We'll be covering that off. Next episode, what are we going to be covering?
So we're definitely going to go and see Mad Max before the next episode, so we'll have definitely a bit of an in-depth on that.
Yeah, Mad Max Fury Road, that's going to be wicked.
Going to be wicked. Obviously there'll be another episode of Game of Thrones, so we'll be digging deep into that as we make our way to the end of the 5th season.
Yeah, coming soon, as it's winding down. And of course we're going to be potentially a little bit of game time on Witcher 3.
Yeah, exactly. He's hoping.
So, that's us. That's all we've got from Two Player Co-op today. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to check us out on Twitter. We're Two Player Co-op. That's 2player CO_op. Check out Dan at
Daniel_Whiting.
Damien at D. LaBrizzle. And thanks very much.
See you next time.